Hello again, and welcome to this interview in the series that is all about empowering a league of extraordinary mothers on how to use the power of food to get more energy, the body we love, and get back that zest for life that we all crave. Today's interview, as you can see, and I don't believe he really needs much introduction, but today we have with us Pete Evans. Pete is Australia's top-selling author of healthy cooking and lifestyle books. He is a co-host and judge on the TV show My Kitchen Rules and has been for about, is it 9 seasons now, Pete?
Yeah, we're filming the 10th at the moment. We're nearly finished the 10th. 2 more months to go, but I'm not counting.
Yeah, okay. And then you're in amongst numerous other amazing accomplishments. Also, you have recently brought out your award-winning documentary, The Magic Pill, which is now on Netflix, so we can all watch that.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's a beautiful introduction, and grateful to be here today, Edwina, and hopefully we can have a great conversation and impart some words of, or plant some seeds. Maybe not words of wisdom, but let's see if we can plant some seeds. That's what I like to do.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Let's start with your story, Pete. How did you come to be doing the work that you do?
Well, you probably need a whole day for us to go through with the reason for it. But let's just say that all my life experiences from preconception or the conception to birth to where I am now has led me to this moment of being in front of you, being able to share some truth, my truth, I guess you could say, or I guess I would say it's my truth. And it's been a wonderful journey. It's been a journey of self-development, self-awareness, self-knowledge, self-understanding, self-love. Yeah. And I think that's everybody's story as well. And without getting into the nitty-gritty, let's just say that I have a passion for learning more about myself. And the ways that happens is through, I guess, the pillars of health. You know, it's pretty simple, because we learn a lot about ourselves when any of our pillars of health are out of balance. And when I talk about the pillars of health or the foundations of health, we can look at nutrition, it's diet. We can look at, included in that only is food and water, or beverage, I should say. Emotional well-being is probably the most important part of the foundation of health. How we sleep, how we move, how we breathe, how we interact with other people. What our beliefs are, our core beliefs, what our programming is from an early age, and how do we understand our true nature that is wrapped up and inside of all of that, all of those layers. So my story has led me to here, where I'm sitting opposite you, and hopefully we'll have a chat about some of those pillars of health and how people can maybe look at bringing them back into the balance if they perceive that any of them are out of balance. And I guess that's my story, and it continues to be my story. So.
Did you grow up in a family that ate real food? Was that how you were raised?
I was raised pretty much by my mum, and she did a wonderful job of putting food onto the table, that's for sure. With the information that she knew at that particular point in time. So my mum is a wonderful cook, and I've taken a lot of inspiration for her. In fact, I just an hour ago dropped her off and my 2 daughters off, because we just went out for a very fancy lunch. It was no occasion. We just wanted to get together and experience one of the world's best restaurants, which was a lot of fun. So, and that was sort of a thank you to my mum for growing and raising me, and putting food on my table. And I'm luckily in a position now that I can give back. And for my children, it was a growth experience for them, and creating a memory about family and different experiences. And my 2 daughters just tried uni for the first time, which is sea urchin. And that was probably, apart from the family bonding and connecting and conversation, but creating new experiences for my children is probably one of my fundamental roles as a father and as a guide, is to create these experiences that will help shape and help guide my children, or any child, to grow and expand, and to step out of their comfort zone, not in a crazy way where you've got to jump out of a plane, even though that is on the cards for the kids, because that's something that I like doing. And when the time comes that they want to do it, if they want to do it, then I will be there jumping right beside them, or at least on the ground videotaping them. But that, for me, is what I get excited about as a parent. Is there's a few things. It's one, getting out of the way so that they can find their true identity without too much influence from myself. It's creating enough space and giving the children the opportunity to choose what feels right for them and to express themselves in a very safe environment, so that they get to create the course of their own reality and create their own experiences. So I try to cultivate these types of experiences for the children where they get to choose. And it can be as simple as, what would you like to eat this weekend? Your choice, and perhaps you can give 5 or 10 options. These are the options, but between the two of you or individually, you can choose what you would like. So that then helps to empower them to make choices as to what they would like. And we do the same thing on the weekends. These are the options. We can go surfing, we can go into the park, we can just go down the beach and go for a walk or a swim, we can go to the movies, we can go possibly get a massage, we can go to the museum, we can go to the zoo, we can do this, we can do that. Here are the options, you choose. And because doesn't worry me, because I've done it all. I've experienced all that, and I have my preferences, obviously, that I would like to do. So if they go, oh, I don't know, then I will look at the weather and then we can make a decision based on that. But I think the more we can cultivate our children to be empowered to make the choices and for them to feel confident that their choices will dictate how they perceive the world, I think that is a huge role or a huge responsibility for us to let them take that responsibility in a safe and nurturing and loving way. So, and apart from that, it's every parent's responsibility to, if you are having children, it is your responsibility for a period of time while they're growing up until they can fend for themselves, is to love them unconditionally, feed them nutritious food. It is same as if you have a pet, you have to feed them nutritious food. It doesn't, just because they're humans doesn't mean that you can feed them junk. And, instill with them some basic guidelines about sleeping and about, getting out and connecting with nature. So pillars are those things. It's self-responsibility, it's self-accountability, it's self-love, it's growing in confidence, it's understanding that we are animals with needs, whether it's through food, whether it's through connection to nature, whether it's through getting outside into the sun, whether it's through adequate sleep, whether it's through real relationships, and then being aware of all of that and how that can challenge you and how it gives you the opportunity to grow.
I know. I've got 4 children, and my 3 eldest ones are sort of on that cusp of launching themselves into life for themselves. And I can look back and see that the journey that I've taken them on with food through the journey that I've been on. And, like I spent 20 years as a vegetarian, and when they were all little, I was still vegetarian and had all these very strong ideas around that. And they were vegetarian until they were 7, and then they were allowed to choose whether they wanted to eat meat or not. And I can still remember their paternal grandmother had their own farm and their own meat, and this whole occasion where they sat down to their first steak from this, these animals that we knew where they'd come from. And that journey to me then starting to eat meat again, and my youngest one being able to eat meat earlier, and the conversations that all come along with that and their growth with that as well. And I think as parents, it's inevitable that our children are going to be coming on this journey with us. So it's, what we're doing now has it's all shaping how they're going to do things as they launch themselves into life.
Yeah, one of the most dangerous things we can do is pass on our belief systems to our children, especially when the beliefs are not based around fact, and whether that's religion or dietary
Yeah.
choices, because their first 7 years is when they do all their programming.
Yeah.
So it can be very, very, very difficult to unprogram those beliefs, and they mainly get their beliefs from their parents.
Yeah.
And obviously daycare, teachers, where whatever else they're exposed to. So vitally, vitally important that our belief systems as parents do not dictate. You know, it's
well, it's an interesting conversation, isn't it, Pete? Because we've, how we eat has almost become like a religion. People have become very fanatical about one idea or another, being it right or wrong. It's only in somebody else's eyes. But it's it has become like a religion. Why have we needed to become, and this is a big part of this whole conversation, isn't it? Why have we needed to get to the point where we have to give so much attention to what we're eating? And that's, that's part of what we're trying to address now, isn't it? We've come from, it's 1,000 years ago now, where we just ate what was available, to a time when we have this abundance of choice, but it's not necessarily doing us any favors, is it?
I guess if you take a very basic view of it, and which is what I tend to try to do, is I look at, who are we? We're human beings.
Yeah.
No one can deny that, unless you want to get into the metaphysics of spirituality and God consciousness, which is a whole nother chat. But at its core, we are presenting ourselves as human beings in this world, and you cannot deny that we should be looking through our evolutionary history as to what that means for us. How do we eat for optimal nutrition? What is proven to be the best? How do we interact with nature? What time should we go to bed? What time do we wake up? Let's look at work. How do we navigate that space? Because it is an unnatural thing that we put ourselves through to earn something that is nothing, to live in a world where we have so many things that we don't need, and where we have the comparisons to other human beings and what they're doing. And so bringing it back to, okay, I'm a human being. What does that mean? Okay, human beings are omnivorous. We can eat plant material and animal-based animals from land or sea. It's as simple as that. So it would make sense that we eat that way, right? And that's as simple as it has to be. Let's eat some meat or some seafood and some vegetables. Hunt and gather. That's what we've done for millions of years. As soon as we deviate from that core, that's when issues arrive. So whether we're vegetarian or vegan, we've already detoured from what that is, as to be human. If we start eating processed food too much, we've deviated again off the path. So what I say to people is, make sure every plate has some meat or seafood and vegetables. And if that's your core nutrition, as far as your major percentage of what you eat, then you should be on your path to feeding yourself as a human being. Obviously you could have small variances in it, but when you look at the population, if I asked an everyday person walking around Australia, I'd say 70 or 80% of people are not eating that way as a core of meat and vegetables or seafood and vegetables. They would be eating a hell of a lot of grains, a hell of a lot of dairy or some sort of dairy, and they'd be eating a very small amount of vegetables and a very small amount of well-sourced seafood and meat. So let's bring that back to being human. If we're a human being, what does it mean? How do we sleep? Well, if we look back in history, when did we go to bed? We went to bed after dark, when the sun went down. There was no TV. We used to tell stories. We'd sit around at 5, and I don't think we'd be up till midnight binge watching TV. Right? There'd be certain times of the year that we'd have a celebration or a corroboree or whatever it may be in the culture that our ancestors are from, some sort of celebratory dance or a festival. something that went down, but it wouldn't be every night, you know. And you look at the way that most of Australians spend their evenings these days, and I'm generalizing here, but we could say that most people get home from work, eat something that's probably not the most nutritious, and then sit in front of under artificial lights and look at an artificial screen until late in the evening. And then they wonder why they wake up and they need to have a coffee. You know? So again, let's bring it back. What does it mean to be human? Okay, well, maybe we wake up when the sun comes up, maybe we get outdoors, maybe we go and do something outdoors as much as possible, like we once did. And then at night time, we come in, we try to go to bed early.
Yeah.
You know, we can bring it back to that, you know, as the large percentage of our experience, then we will hopefully see balance in our sleeping. And then if we look into our emotional or our relationships with other people, let's have a look back through history. How did we used to engage? You know, did we have one partner? Did we have one sexual partner? Did we commit ourselves to life for one person? And if you look back through our evolutionary history, it doesn't seem that way. The archaeological or the evidence would point to something completely different. How did we raise our children? Was it just mum and dad? Dad went to work, or mum went to work, and that child went to daycare? Or did a whole village or tribe help bring up that child and impart all these different things of knowledge to help that child grow? You know, so we go back to, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be in a relationship, whether it's sexual, romantic, father, mother, son, daughter, brother, sister? What does it mean to live in a community? What does it mean to live in this tribe? Are we alone? Do we connect? You know, and if we bring it back to what it means to be human, and how have we managed to thrive for so many generations and for our existence, we can take cues from these experiences that are built into our DNA and find some sort of balance, especially when we look at the state of our relationships these days. How many people are on antidepressants? How many people are in relationships that are not fulfilling? How many people go through divorce? How many people are cheating? How many people are watching porn at night time? How many people are doing this? How many people are working in jobs that are unfulfilling? How many people are going through this insanity that we call the modern world? And blaming others or not taking responsibility for themselves. And I guess the message that I would like to leave people with out of this conversation is, everything that you experience in your life at this particular point in time, you have created, whether you like it or not. And for you, if you're out of any balance in any of those aspects, whether it be food, whether it be sleep, whether it be relationships, whether it be in self, whether it be in whatever it is, look for ways in which you can rebalance. And it doesn't have to be now. You don't have to change everything tonight. But you can look at something and go, okay, well, at the moment, I'm actually eating 6 nights a week. I'm eating pretty shit. Maybe next week I'll make it 5 nights a week. Maybe 2 of those nights I'll actually really knuckle down and I'll make myself that chicken and vegetable soup. And that'll be my dinner for 2 of those nights. Wow. You know? And then set yourself up. Maybe in a month's time, I'll make it 3 nights a week that I'm really going to look after my own health. Even if my husband or my wife or my kids aren't into it, I'm going to do something for me. And I'm going to cook that and put it in front of them. And if they don't like it, they can cook it themselves. But I'm going to do this for me, and I'm going to do it for my loved ones because I care about them. And this is what I'm going to do. And maybe 6 nights of the week, I watch Netflix till 10 at night or 11 at night. And maybe next week I'll cut that back to 4 nights a week. And one of those nights I might actually just read a book with a little night light. I might put my blue blocking glasses on so that the light isn't affecting me as much. Maybe I'll fall asleep at 9 o'clock and then have a proper deep sleep. Maybe if I do that a couple of nights a week, maybe I'll wake up an hour earlier one day. Maybe my circadian rhythm will just kick in, and all of a sudden I'm waking up at 5:30 in the morning with the sun an hour before I normally do. What am I going to do with that hour? Am I going to make the kids something healthy and nutritious to take to lunch? Am I going to go for a walk around the block and watch the sunrise and have 20 minutes to myself to actually meditate, and then come back, and I'll still have time to make something nutritious for the kids for breakfast or for lunch or for myself. I don't know, and it's those incremental changes, or writing down where you might see that areas of your life could be changed to bring a little bit more balance to self. And from that, just be aware of what happens around you, and just be aware of how you start to think, how you start to feel, how your relationships change with other people, how your relationships change with yourself. My wife taught me the art of tea making over the last couple of years, and most mornings when we're together, we would sit pretty much naked most mornings, depending on how cold it is where we are. And we would sit in silence watching the sunrise, and she would pour tea, and we would have 30 to 45 minutes in silence every morning and drinking tea. And through that, you get amazing insights. And as we come out of that, we connect and we talk about what we experienced in that space, what thoughts arose. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to do. And even this morning, I had my oldest daughter stay with me last night, which was beautiful. And we watched a movie, snuggled up on the couch. And then this morning, she slept for 12 hours. Sunday's her sleep-in, so she slept till 10 or 9:30 or 10 in the morning, which is beautiful. And me and her had a beautiful cup of tea this morning. I served her, she was at her PJs, I was in my PJs, and we served some tea and had a great chat. And that was a beautiful setup for the day for us, of father, daughter, having a connection, talking about life over a cup of tea.
Yeah.
If someone had told me a year ago I'd be sitting down pouring tea for my daughter and having these conversations, I'd be like, I don't really see that happening. But now, because I've opened myself to that experience and that connection, it felt like the most normal thing.
Yeah.
And I know that she's happy to do it again. I said, you want to do it again? She's like, yeah, I love that. That's cool. Yeah. I said, maybe you serve me next time, and you can do it. So it depends on where we want to put our intention and attention.
Yeah.
So anything's possible.
It is one of the most empowering decisions we can make, that we're 100% responsible for our own health and happiness. Once we, I remember, I wasn't in that mindset for any of my teens and 20s and into my 30s. I don't think it took me a while to come to that realization, but it was a good realization to come to. Stop looking at everybody else to take responsibility for it. It's it's a gift, and if we can pass that on to our kids when they're young before they leave home, it's the ultimate gift.
Yeah, well, we're all on a journey, and there's no need to compare ourselves to anybody else or to feel guilt that it took us so long to have these realizations. And another year I'll be looking back and go, can't believe I was doing that then when I could be doing this. And it's just that process of growth and awareness, and being grateful for all the things that have led us to where we are now. And all we have is now. That's all we ever have. Is now. So everything is exactly perfect as it should be, and it's about opening yourself to these new experiences. And learning from them.
So if we come back to this conversation around food, and it is just one piece of the puzzle, as you've already gone over. Sleep and connection and all these things are just as important. But if we talk about food, okay, we're gonna go into our local fast food, and we get a hamburger, Pete, and it's got bread, which we've been eating for thousands of years, and lettuce and tomato and maybe some pickles, which are our vegetables, and a piece of meat. Why are we going wrong there? Why is that not serving us as well as we might imagine?
I think the question first should be, why are you going into a fast food restaurant? that's probably the first question.
Because it's cheap and easy. That's going to be the answer.
So is that how you want to live your life? Cheap and easy? Are they values for you? Mm-hmm. Is that how you want to perceive who you are? Do you want to be cheap and easy? Do you want to associate your life with being cheap and easy? You know, if that's what resonates with you, then, then go for it, But there is an option. I mean, there's so many different options out there,
Yeah.
And one is respect,
Yeah.
and one is love, and one is understanding and support. And when it comes to food, if we can cultivate a respect for it and an understanding and an awareness for what it is for us, it has everything that we possibly could ever wish for to keep us healthy, keep us sustained, keep us strong, keep us mentally clear, support all of our organs, all of our cells. It's so simple and such common sense that it defies even having this conversation, because it's a no-brainer for me. It's I don't even know where to go with it, because it doesn't even resonate with me.
I think what I'm trying to get at, Pete, is, it's not, as you have already said, we're all making the best decision we can with the information we have right now. And I'm not necessarily sort of talking about, I think we're all well and truly aware of the bigger fast food giants. But, even to go into a boutique kind of cafe that, that has these ingredients. And I guess where I was going with that was more about, the quality of these foods. And, we know more about how wheat is grown now. So maybe even if we look at that, I mean, even the topic of gluten, I know you were in the What's with Wheat documentary. So maybe if we can even touch on that, because there is confusion around a food that we have seemingly eaten for thousands of years, but now is making people unwell. So can we touch on that maybe?
Yeah, for sure. Happy to go down that path. And again, I'm going to bring it back to what I said before. If we bring it back to being human, what does it mean? For our evolutionary history, 99.96% of it, I think it's worked out to be, we have eaten a diet basically consisting of meat with some vegetable material, or plants or fruits, when they were in season, and when they were not, we could prepare them in a way that didn't hurt us. So, but we have mainly subsisted and survived and thrived on basically meat and fat diet from animals that we've hunted, whether it be from the land or the sea. So again, if we bring it back to, we're omnivores, the two things that we've existed on, which is meat and vegetables, or seafood and vegetables, let's bring it back to that. Let's make that the main focus of our plate. So once we do that, then fast food places or the cafes, if you choose to go in there, and I'm not saying I can't advocate for people to go in there. So I have to be very careful with my words, because it's not even part of my life, if that makes sense. So make the wisest choices possible at every given situation is, I guess, my advice. And that's what I do every single day. Make the wisest choices possible, because we all have a choice. Okay, we each have choices about anything. Whether I do this podcast today, whether you invite me to do this podcast, whether it is what I'm going to eat tonight, what time am I going to go to bed, who do I want to spend my time with today? I've got the weekend. Do I want to spend it with this person? Do I want to spend it by myself to have some me time? Do I want to go explore the world? Do I want to stay at home and regenerate and recharge my batteries? All of these things come down to our personal choices. Only we can make them. Except if you've got children, then we make them for them. So if we talk about fast food restaurants, it is not the child's decision to go to a fast food restaurant unless you give them that decision. But for instance, with my own children, we sometimes go to restaurants and I say, do you want to go to this one, this one, this one, this one? And I know that in those places they have food that we can eat.
Yep.
That I'm happy to share the experience with my children, that I know it's probably not perfect, it's probably not organic, I probably don't use the oil that I would normally cook with.
Yeah.
But it's also a chance for us to explore and create new experiences. So I'm not careful, but I'm fully self-aware of the choices that we can make around these decisions. So if you want to eat a fast food place, then that is your choice. And then it is your choice into how you navigate that menu. You can either fast, which mightn't be a bad thing. It's like being on a plane. I caught a plane 2 days ago and they know, they just go, oh, Mr. Evans, you probably won't be eating with us today. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right, but I might have the olives.
Yeah.
Right? Even though I know the olives have got some sort of preservative on them. I'm like, okay, I'm happy to take that to do that on that place. So I'm not giving you the answers that you want, probably, but that's okay. If you're happy to be in a situation and choose the wisest path, then that is what I would say. So with wheat, for instance, you talk about that. We 100% know that wheat is not great for human beings in any way, shape or form. All you need to look at is the work of Dr. Alessio Fasano, who is one of the world's leading gastroenterologists, and look at the work that he's done on zonulin and how it affects our guts. Yeah. And from that, you will go, okay, that makes total sense. So every time I eat wheat, I'm basically causing my body harm. Am I prepared to do that in this situation? And am I prepared to do that for my children?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your choice.
Yeah, yeah.
Your choice. So, and then if we want to look at wheat and people go, well, we've been eating for thousands of years, and are we like, okay, but there's a difference between surviving and thriving. We can eat anything, and it's not going to kill us depending on the dose.
Yeah.
Right? And it was funny. I was driving around Sydney today, and there was a walk on. Like there was thousands of people doing this long walk, and I had a look, and out of the 1,000 people that I drove past, not very many of them actually physically looked healthy, and that's a judgment on my behalf. And I was like, isn't this interesting? There's people out there doing a walk, and none of them look vibrant or healthy. You know, maybe they are, but their physical appearance did not show that or indicate that they were thriving specimens of the human being. They were surviving.
Yeah.
Right. And we see that with our pets when they eat a diet that isn't good for them. You know, a dog can live for 20 years or however many years it is, and it can thrive on the right diet, where you might have another dog eating inferior food that it's not designed to eat. Yeah. And it could live for 8 years or 10 years. But in those 8 or 10 years, it could suffer from arthritis, it could have type 2 diabetes, it could develop cancer, it could have skin issues. So it's surviving, but it is not thriving.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a huge difference in that. And I choose to thrive. And I'm choosing to thrive for as long as I possibly can, without being obsessive about it, because once you have this simple formula, it's so easy and you don't even have to think about it. It's normal.
Yeah.
Go to bed early, try not to be surrounded by EMFs when you go to sleep, get some sunlight every day if you can, breathe some fresh air, eat some good food that isn't inflammatory to our bodies, drink the purest possible water you can, have wonderful relationships and cultivate wonderful relationships and conversations with people that aren't in the negative sphere and in gossip and slander and this. Be aware of the conversations that happen, be aware of the words that you're using as well. And from that, you can cultivate optimal health without even thinking about it, really, because it becomes so is so simple. It's not a struggle. It's not a challenge. It just is.
Yeah.
Once you have your values in place and you have your virtues, and you come from a place of self-love and self-nourishment for yourself and others, then it actually opens up so much more free time to be able to do the things that you're excited about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if we look at wheat, for instance, we look at how it's grown these days and what it's sprayed with, for instance, which is glyphosate or Roundup, and how it's been genetically modified to be the size that it is. The proteins in there are so different from what it once was.
Yeah.
And now how we prepare it is it's stripped of everything down to its, well, I'm talking general, what you see in the supermarkets, stripped of everything, all its nutrients, and it's prepared in a way that we never would have prepared it thousands of years ago when we first started eating it. Otherwise, we would have got sick from it.
Yep.
We learned how to ferment it. We learned how to soak it and ferment it and prepare it in ways that made it easier for us to deal with. Was it optimum? Was it going to provide us with optimal nutrition? No, because you can look back through the historical evidence of when we started to do agriculture and what that did to our brain size and our capacity, and also our size, and also our physical, everything to do with our physicality. And there's a distinct line in the sand: pre-agriculture, post-agriculture, and health before and after. So, and again, it's so simple. But just because everybody else is eating something does not mean that you need to be eating it. It's because everyone else is watching porn doesn't mean you have to watch porn. Just because everyone else is watching Game of Thrones does not mean you need to watch Game of Thrones or The Bachelor or whatever it may be. Just because everybody is doing something and they've been doing it for a while. You know, think about television, for instance. It's, I watch it, I enjoy it, I choose the shows that I like to watch with my children.
Yeah.
But it's been around for this amount of our existence, like a blink of human existence. But you think about how many people watch that thing every single day of their lives, and how many hours are consumed by that. And I love it for entertainment, don't get me wrong. But for some people, it's company, it's their friend, it's their safety. It's because it removes them and it gives them an escape from other things that potentially could be looked at.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to demonize telling about. I do love it. I have a passion for film and passion for that medium of storytelling, and it's one of my passions that I'm trying to cultivate at the moment. We made our first film, and I'm in pre-production for my second film, which will be a totally different path. And I've already started putting the places how I want to become a director in the future, because I have a desire to express myself in that way.
Yeah.
So I love watching telly, but I also know that there's certain things in my life that I want to get done and are in balance. So when I do watch telly, I can go, so my nutrition's good, my sleep is good, my beverage is good. I went outside today, I connected with nature, I did a little bit of exercise, I had a wonderful day with my kids and my wife and connected that way. Now I might watch a bit of telly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That conversation around not doing things just because everybody else is, one of the trickiest situations I've found with that is with my kids in schools, and because we typically have eaten quite differently to the way that the majority of children that they're at school with are eating, that's become, that has been through their journey, one of the tricky conversations. Have you had, conversations with your girls around that? Is that something that's cropped up in your family, or?
Yeah, and I'd say careful of using the word tricky conversation, but just an honest conversation is, what do you want to eat today? You have the choice of this week. It's what do you want? Do you want this? This is on offer. What do you want to eat? problem solved. They choose what they want to eat.
Yeah.
Give it, and you give them the options.
Mm.
And if it's delicious, then there should not be any problems. So, and if they break out of that and eat their friends' lunches, then so be it. That's what they do, or they swap. That's what kids do. And last night my daughter had a sleepover at a party, and there was 20 kids, and she got to bed at 3:30 in the morning. 3:30. She's 11.
Yeah.
And they all ate pizza, and they had bags and bags of lollies there.
Mm.
And, hence, they were up till 3:30 in the morning. And my daughter ate pizza, and she probably ate the lollies, and I didn't even ask her. I said, "Did you eat the pizza?" She goes, "Yeah," and I didn't want to ask if she ate the lollies because if she did it, she did it, and if she, I don't want to make her feel guilty. But it was great, that experience for her. I was like, "So, how did that make you feel?" She's like, "I'm so tired today." There were fights there, kids yelling at each other, and I thought it was a wonderful experience for her, because normally that Saturday night is when she gets her biggest sleep for the week.
Mm.
That's because she gets to get up early and dance on the Saturday morning by choice. That's what she wants to do. But Saturday night, and usually she goes to bed at 9 and she sleeps till 9 or 10. She'll sleep for 12, 13 hours. And last night she slept for 4 or 5. And you could see it in her body today. But she got a lesson from that.
Yeah.
It was a valuable lesson for her. She goes, "I value my sleep so much. I love my sleep." And that's one part of the puzzle already. She values sleep.
Mm.
She's connected that already. And that's, how brilliant is that?
Yeah.
So the kids comparing themselves to others, I don't think it's an issue unless the parents make it an issue.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think, from my experience with my kids, it becomes an issue when they feel like they're eating things differently and the other kids are pointing it out. And then they feel like they don't want their food to look different to the other kids' foods. And that's a fairly normal process. But
I've never had that experience with my children.
Yeah, right.
Never.
Okay.
And they say that kids eat Nutella and white bread at school.
Mm.
I go, "Do you want to eat it?" They go, "I couldn't think of it." They go, "Why would I want to?"
Yep. Mm.
I go, do any of the kids give you a hard time?" They go, "No." But my kids have been brought up in an environment where they're empowered individuals. That's been, I guess, my intention, or a parent's intention from the start, is to empower them so they can see the world as it is around them without compromising who they are.
Mm.
And that's what a parent does. A parent empowers their children to be empowered. It's fucking so simple.
Mm.
It's so simple. And if you have children and if that's not even part of your process or programming, to give your children the opportunity for them to grow into themselves and be confident in themselves and to love themselves and to have understanding of themselves, then I don't know. For me, it's common sense. It's just, it's if you're not prepared to experience yourself as a parent and all that entails, then I don't know. There's ways of learning these things and finding help for these things if you choose to, or if you're a little bit unsure of what I'm talking about. But the goal of a parent is to not create versions of you, little versions of you. That's the worst possible thing you could do. It's about getting out of the way and letting them find and create their own self, their own beautiful, unique self. And once they do that, once they're on that journey, nothing that somebody else brings to lunch is going to impact them in any way, shape, or form. We even think that is I don't know. It doesn't resonate with me.
We're winding up for time, Pete, and I'd love to finish with a little bit of inspiration. Maybe if you could share with us a favourite brekkie as we're moving in towards summer, spring. What's a favourite brekkie in your house at the moment?
Sure. So the girls love eggs. They're just egg mad. They love coconut yogurt as well. So most mornings, I mean, we live in girls live with me half the time. They live with their mum half the time. So, but they pretty much eat the same thing in both households. But they love their coconut yogurt with some fresh organic berries, or frozen, I should say. We always have frozen because fresh is too expensive. But we've always got frozen berries that we pop on, then a piece of fruit. And the fruit's whatever's in season, whether it's an orange or passion fruit or mango or banana or whatever's organic and nice and cheap. So they have a little bit of that. And then every day, pretty much, they have a small glass of broth. So we make a big batch, and the girl's mum makes a big batch, and my wife makes a big batch. So that's one of their favourite foods is a cup of broth every day before school, whether it's chicken, fish, or beef. They love it all. And then they'll have, generally it's just eggs with some sort of meat and vegetables. And they love boiled eggs. So Nanny bakes them boiled eggs when they stay at Nanny's house. I do omelettes. I think their mum does scrambled eggs. My wife does scrambled eggs. They're not really keen on fried eggs or poached eggs, but so they always like their eggs cooked all the way through. And there'll be some sort of meat, whether it's a sausage or some sort of bacon on there, or some ham into the omelette. And next to that, there'll always be some greens and a little bit of kraut or some sprouts on there. And they always have their water when they wake up in the morning too, with some probiotic. And out they go. And my daughter loves some avocado, the other one likes tomato. So we mix it up. But it's always a cooked breakfast with some broth, a little bit of fruit, and some yogurt, and they're done.
Beautiful.
And it's interesting. So when we're at the farm or when we're here and they sleep till 9 or 10 o'clock, they'll generally have that sort of meal. Then we'll go for a surf, and then come back and have a big sort of late breakfast or early lunch, and then a beautiful early dinner. So on the weekends, they generally eat 2 to 3 meals, and Monday to Friday at school, they'll eat 3 meals a day, plus the snacks like little lunch and things like that. So, but really simple. So breakfast takes me 10 minutes from start to finish to do all of that, which, it's 9 more minutes than emptying a packet of cereal. But I wake up most mornings around 5:30 to 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. without an alarm, so I can do that, and it's easy. And that sustains them. And then lunch for them is some sort of meat or egg dish with some vegetables, usually raw, so celery or carrot or cucumber, and a little bit of fruit. And then dinner, again, is meat and seafood or vegetables. So when I look at my children's diet, going back to the start of this conversation, as meat and vegetables as the majority of what they eat, or seafood and vegetables, or eggs and vegetables, but that makes up probably 98% of their diet every single day. And coconut yogurt might be a thing, maybe some paleo muesli might be a small thing, maybe some good quality chocolate, maybe some coconut ice cream as a treat. Like the kids get treats and things like that. And that's their diet.
Yep.
And it's funny, like we do go out to restaurants sometimes, like every few weeks or every month, and we just go to a Chinese restaurant and we get roast duck and roast pork, and girls order a big thing of green vegetables too. And we have had the discussion, do you ever feel like you're missing out like when you're eating the duck? And last night I cooked the most beautiful steak for my daughter. Steak, roasted pumpkin, spinach, and we had a beautiful red wine sauce with it. And that took 10 minutes from start to finish.
Yeah.
And maybe 15. Yeah, it was probably 15 because I needed to cook the pumpkin through. but I did it in the pan. And but it was so delicious. It's so easy. Like it's so easy. And
yeah, sounds good, Pete. It sounds lovely. Thank you so much for your time and for doing this interview. I know you've been incredibly busy. I think before we pushed record, you said it had been the busiest couple of weeks you can remember, and I imagine that's quite some feat.
it's been a pretty full-on couple of weeks, but I'm glad we got to connect, and I'm glad we got to have this conversation as well. And I need to rebalance some of my stuff at the moment too. So the rest of this afternoon and evening is bath, bed, and a little bit of telly.
Sounds good, Pete. That sounds great. I'm in there. I think that sounds like a good way to finish the day. Thank you so much. And yeah, I look forward to sharing this interview and sharing feedback with you. It'll be great, I'm certain. Thank you so much.
Keep it simple. Thank you.